All right, shalom, family.
Shalom.
And welcome to our Feast of First Fruits. When we look out into the earth and see the things that other people are dealing with, most people say that they care and that they believe in Christ, but they are just have zero knowledge of the Feast of First Fruits, that Yahweh had already set forth a foundation in the Old Testament for the Messiah. All of this was already preordained and preset for him. What the nations like to do is do their own thing and then just throw Christ in it. And it is not according to the setup that Yahweh has given us. And this is what kind of pushes a lot of us to deal with Passover as they deal with Easter. And when you understand what this is, the first fruits, this is about the resurrection. This is the thing that we're supposed to be dealing with in that form. But most of the times we don't really have that same thought process toward the Feast of First Fruits. You hear people talking about, Passover, not really understanding what each one of those things mean. And it's one of those things that we have to look at it in each part, where you have the Passover, that blood was shed for you to make atonement. You then have the next day, you have them become unleavened. When you deal with the third day after that, you are to be raised a totally different creature than you were the creature before. All of this has significance. But because man wanted to do things the way man wanted to do it, we didn't hear about these things in this order until we got into the Word. So we have to praise Yahweh that he allowed for us to be brought out of gross darkness into this light, because we were happy where we were. Most of us believing that we knew everything that we needed to know. So we're going to begin tonight's sermon in Exodus chapter 34, and we're going to read verses 19 through 28. And today's sermon is entitled "The First Fruits of the Father." The first fruits of the Father. When you examine these things, this is why I have, great issue with these prophets for hire, because all of their prophecies are personal prophecies for individuals. And when Yahweh deals with something, he has the whole thought process of Israel all intertwined in it. Even when he's dealing with a man, he's dealing with that man so that man can deal with Israel. He is not on this personal Lord and Savior thing whereby we can be completely independent and do our own thing, and none of what we do is going to affect the nation. That's not how Yahweh has his law designed. That's not how this setup is designed. Exodus 34, and let's start at verse 19.
All that opens the matrix is mine, and every firstling among your cattle, whether ox or sheep, that is male.
All right, so then the matrix is the womb. All that openeth the womb is his. Go ahead.
But the firstling of an ass you shall redeem with a lamb, and if you redeem him not, then you shall break his neck. All the firstborn of your sons you shall redeem, and none shall appear before me empty. 6 days you shall work, but on the seventh day you shall rest. In airing time and in harvest you shall rest. And you shall observe the feast of weeks, of the first fruits of wheat harvest, and the feast of ingathering at the year's end.
Right. So in each one of these things, it is these fruits that you are bringing forth at these specific times of the year. And this is when Yahweh requires an appearance from man and to bring the first of his increase. Go ahead.
3 times in the year shall all your men children appear before the Adonai Yahweh, the El of Israel. For I will cast out the nations before you, and enlarge your borders, neither shall any man desire your land, when you shall go up to appear before Yahweh your Elohim 3 times in the year. You shall not offer the blood of my sacrifice with leaven, neither shall the sacrifice of the feast of the Passover be left unto the morning. The first of the first fruits of your land you shall bring unto the house of Yahweh your Elohim. You shall not seethe a kid in his mother's milk.
It says the first of the first fruits of your land you shall bring unto the house of Yahweh your Elohim. And these things have been turned into something else other than servitude unto Yahweh. People have used this so they can get rich. They're not going to follow anything else. But they can tell you every scripture in here that might be related to tithing. But when we get down to following instructions, now they can't find the Sabbath. They don't know where it's at. They don't know where any of these holy days are. But they know those things. Because man uses those things to rule over one another with rigor. That's not what Yahweh's law was designed for. Go ahead.
And Yahweh said unto Moshe, Write you these words, for after the 10 of these words I have made a covenant with you and with Israel. And he was there with Yahweh 40 days and 40 nights. He did neither eat bread nor drink water. And he wrote upon the table the words of the covenant, the 10 commandments.
All right. So even as Yahweh is giving these instructions unto Israel and unto Moshe, Moshe has to do, this work to get all of these things to Israel and then recite them to Israel to make sure that they understand those instructions. Let's go to Exodus chapter 22. Exodus chapter 22, and I want you to read verses 29 through 31.
Verse 29, You shall not delay to offer the first of your ripe fruits and of your liquors. The firstborn of your sons shall you give unto me. Likewise shall you do with your oxen and with your sheep. 7 days it shall be with his dam. On the 8th day you shall give it me. And you shall be holy men unto me, neither shall you eat any flesh that is torn of beasts in the field. You shall cast it to the dogs.
All right. So you shall not delay to offer the first of your ripe fruits and of your liquors. The firstborn of your sons shall you give unto me. So Yahweh has set forth an order for us to deal with. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 26. Go ahead, brother.
No, when you look at this, you're talking about the sheep. He says, 7 days it shall be with the dam, with his mother. On the 8th day you shall give it me. With the men child, something happens on the 8th day as well.
Right. Yahweh has, this order that when we change one thing, we never consider, okay, what you going to do about this other thing over here? Because, see, this one leans into this one, which leans into this one. So when you decide you're not going to do this one, what you going to do about this right here? We don't even consider that. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 26, and we're going to read verses 1 through 19.
And it shall be, when you are come onto the land which Yahweh your Elohim gives you for an inheritance, and possess it, and dwelleth therein, that you shall take of the first of all the fruit of the earth, which you shall bring of your land, that Yahweh your Elohim gives you.
Now, this was much easier for us to understand when every man had to plant for himself, when every man had to take care of his own thing. You didn't do this thing, your family didn't eat. So it was real easy to figure out what your first fruits were. And we don't even think that the setup of man goes directly against the setup of Yahweh. We have, these chain stores that we can go in and get anything. We don't have to plant. We don't have to worry about anything. So we can't even figure out what a first fruit is. Man's setup has turned everything upside down. Go ahead.
And shall put it in a basket, and shall go on to the place which Yahweh your Elohim shall choose to place his name there. And you shall go unto the priest that shall be in those days, and say unto him, I profess this day unto Yahweh your Elohim, that I am come unto the country which Yahweh sware unto our fathers for to give us.
And let's be honest, the only basket we ever heard of was Easter basket. The only baskets you ever seen at church. Go ahead.
And the priest shall take the basket out of your hand, and set it down before the altar of Yahweh your Elohim. And you shall speak and say before Yahweh your Elohim, a Syrian ready to perish was my father, and he went down into Egypt, and sojourned there with a few, and became there a nation, great, mighty, and populous. And the Egyptians evil entreated us, and afflicted us, and laid upon us hard bondage. And when we cried unto Yahweh Elohim of our fathers, Yahweh heard our voice, and looked on our affliction, and our labor, and our oppression. And Yahweh brought us forth out of Egypt with a mighty hand, and with an stretched out arm, and with great terribleness, and with signs and with wonders. And he has brought us into this place, and has given us this land, even a land that flows with milk and honey.
All right, now listen, verse 8, and Yahweh brought us forth out of Egypt with a mighty hand, and with an outstretched arm, and with great terribleness, and with signs and with wonders. A lot of times we just see the end result. We don't really think about all of the great, terrible things that have to take place for Israel to be relocated. Go ahead.
And now, behold, I have brought the first fruits of the land, which you, O Yahweh, has given me. And you shall set it before Yahweh your Elohim, and worship before Yahweh your Elohim. And you shall rejoice in every good thing which Yahweh your Elohim has given unto you, and unto your house, you, and the Levite, and the stranger that is among you. When you have made an end of tithing all the tithes of your increase, the third year, which is the year of tithing.
So he gives them an opportunity to start getting all of this stuff ready. See, Yahweh always gives us a period before he puts everything on you. All right, get ready. Get this in order. All right, now let's go do this. Go ahead.
And has given it unto the Levite, the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow, that they may eat within your gates and be filled. Then you shall say before Yahweh your Elohim, I have brought away the hallowed things out of mine house, and also have given them unto the Levite, and unto the stranger, to the fatherless, and to the widow, according to all your commandments which you have commanded me. I have not transgressed your commandments, neither have I forgotten them. I have not eaten thereof in my mourning, neither have I taken away aught thereof for any unclean use.
See, this is where we have to be careful, even as we have something that we're putting aside for Yahweh. We have something that we're putting aside for Yahweh. You have to make sure that stuff ain't near your stuff. Because then you get into something and you know what, I take a pinch off of this. You know, I'll put it back. Yahweh said, don't matter, you put it back. You already pinched from it. Go ahead.
Nor given aught thereof for the dead, but I have hearkened to the voice of Yahweh my Elohim, and have done according to all that you have commanded me. Look down from your holy habitation from heaven, and bless your people Israel, and the land which you have given us, as you swear unto our fathers, a land that flows with milk and honey. This day Yahweh your Elohim has commanded you to do these statutes and judgments. You shall therefore keep and do them with all your heart and with all your soul. You have avouched Yahweh this day to be your El, and to walk in his ways, and to keep his statutes and his commandments and his judgments, and to hearken unto his voice. And Yahweh has avouched you this day to be his peculiar people, as he has promised you, and that you should keep all his commandments, and to make you high above all nations which he has made, in praise and in name and in honor, and that you may be an holy people unto Yahweh your Elohim, as he has spoken.
So it's these things that we walk in that is supposed to have us to be high above all the nations which he made, in praise and in name and in honor, that you may be a holy people. You're not just that just because you say, you know what, I did a DNA test, and you know they said I'm Israel. That doesn't make you a holy people. He said, walking in the things that I have given unto you. that makes you a holy people. And we have to understand that that is the biggest part of it, not who we think we are ethnically. Let's go to Genesis chapter 4. Because, in all of these things we read and we run into, of course, this is law. But then we have to ask ourselves, when we look at certain situations, how is these things already held as a constant in the earth before there is an official law code? Genesis chapter 4, and we're going to read verses 1 through 8.
And Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I've gotten a man from Yahweh.
All right. Now, she got a man from Yahweh, but we know she got a certain kind of man. All right. Now, back up to what had taken place before she got this man. They had just went against Yahweh. Now, and we don't really consider these things and what it means. All right, keep reading.
And she again bare his brother Abel. And Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And in process of time it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto Yahweh.
Which is all of the things that we're sitting here reading about. Fruit of the ground. You bring your first fruit. We're reading this. Now, what we hadn't read is this other part. Go ahead.
And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof.
He didn't just bring something of the flock. He brought the firstlings of his flock. So he brought something totally different than what Cain brought. Go ahead.
And Yahweh had respect unto Abel and to his offering. But unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very angry, and his countenance fell.
He is very angry, and his countenance has fell. You see, all it takes to cause a schism between two brothers is one of them offering get accepted and the other one doesn't. Now, how is it that he didn't know his offering wouldn't be accepted? How is it he didn't know that? He the older brother, right? Mm-hmm. He the older one. How is it that the older one don't know that his offering is not accepted? Go ahead.
And Yahweh said unto Cain, why are you angry?
And here goes the question. Why are you angry? And then look at where the anger is directed. If Yahweh didn't accept his offering, shouldn't he be angry at Yahweh? Mm-hmm. But instead, he's angry at his brother. What'd your brother do to you other than have a better offering than you? What did he do to you? What did he do to harm you? What did he do against you? He didn't do anything against you. He brought forth a better offering than you. So now is he your enemy because he brought a better offering than you? Go ahead.
And why is your countenance fallen?
Yahweh want to know. Why you angry? Do you not understand? Do you lack understanding? What's the problem? Go ahead.
If you does well, shall you not be accepted?
Uh-huh.
And if you does not well, sin lies at the door.
Right. Should I accept this just because you brought it? I'm supposed to accept that and act like it's okay? We have to consider now, this is connected to everything that we do in the Word. How did you bring it? How did you package it when you brought it forth? Is he supposed to accept that just because you brought it? Go ahead.
And unto you shall be his desire, and you shall rule over him. And Cain talked with Abel his brother. And it came to pass, when they were in the field...
Hold on. So he holding this then. Mm-hmm. So he already got angry, right? But now he looking for the right opportunity to execute his anger. Yahweh already asked him right off the rip, why you angry? Why has your countenance fallen? Don't you understand? If somebody do well, then I am going to exalt them for the good that they have done. But you just throw some stuff together and bring it? How am I supposed to accept that? Then we have to consider how we do the works that we're supposed to do. When something's supposed to be turned in at a certain date, at a certain time, do we show up with a bunch of excuses? When we supposed to be somewhere at a certain time, at a certain date, and everybody waiting to do their work for you to get there. Do we consider that? Go ahead.
You know, brother, on the same token of that, it could be simple as something as you call up on somebody and they willing to drop everything they got to do to take care of Yahweh's work. You putting him first, your first fruits, the first fruits of your deeds.
No doubt, brother. Absolutely 110% spot on. Go ahead.
That Cain rose up against Abel, his brother, and slew him.
Right. He held that in his heart, as it is written, lest in a root of bitterness spring up, and thereby many be defiled. That root of bitterness sat right in there into the perfect opportunity to lash out at his brother. But his problem wasn't with his brother. His brother never did anything to him. He just can't fight Yahweh. And see, that's us. See, we pick the fight we can win. See? See, a bully come in here, he look all over the room. I'm gonna beat up Kishai. Wait a minute, he the littlest dude in there. He look at you gonna jump on him? Why don't you jump on thickness over there, thick black over there? Why don't you jump on thick black? Jump on thick black. Go run up on thick black over there. Why you wanna run up on Kishai? Right. See, we're real good at picking which fights we gonna start. Right. You think Yahweh don't know that? You think Yahweh don't see that? Let's go to Numbers chapter 8. See, so the next time what'll happen, Yahweh gonna make thick black start to fight with you. He gonna take away your option. You ain't gonna have the option to go pick on little Kishai. Then you gonna be look, it's unfair. Why thick black walking all up on me? Nah. He wanna make sure you understand how that little man felt when you ran up on him. See, now your turn. See, just like that little man had to look up to you when you ran up on him, you got to look up to thick black. Numbers 8, we're gonna read verses 1 through 22.
And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto Aaron, and say unto him, When you lighteth the lamps, the 7 lamps shall give light over against the candlestick. And Aaron did so. He lighted the lamps thereof over against the candlestick, as Yahweh commanded Moshe. And this work of the candlestick was beaten gold. Unto the shaft thereof, unto the flowers thereof, was beaten work, according unto the pattern which Yahweh had showed Moshe, so he made the candlestick. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Take the Levites from among the children of Israel, and cleanse them. And thus shall you do unto them, to cleanse them. Sprinkle water of purifying upon them, and let them shave all their flesh, and let them wash their clothes, and so make themselves clean. Then let them take a young bullock with his meat offering, even fine flour mingled with oil, and another young bullock shall you take for a sin offering. And you shall bring the Levites before the tabernacle of the congregation, and you shall gather the whole assembly of the children of Israel together. And you shall bring the Levites before Yahweh, and the children of Israel shall put their hands upon the Levites. And Aaron shall offer the Levites before Yahweh for an offering of the children of Israel, that they may execute the service of Yahweh. And the Levites shall lay their hands upon the heads of the bullocks, and you shall offer the one for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering unto Yahweh, to make an atonement for the Levites. And you shall set the Levites before Aaron, and before his sons, and offer them for an offering unto Yahweh. Thus shall you separate the Levites from among the children of Israel, and the Levites shall be mine. And after that shall the Levites go to do the service of the tabernacle of the congregation, and you shall cleanse them, and offer them for an offering. For they are wholly given unto me from among the children of Israel, instead of such as open every womb, even instead of the firstborn of all the children of Israel, have I taken them unto me.
So then Yahweh then replaces the Levites and put them in the stead of the firstborn. Correct?
For all the firstborn of the children of Israel are mine, both man and beast, on the day that I smote every firstborn in the land of Egypt, I sanctified them for myself. And I have taken the Levites for all the firstborn of the children of Israel. And I have given the Levites as a gift to Aaron and to his sons from among the children of Israel, to do the service of the children of Israel in the tabernacle of the congregation, and to make an atonement for the children of Israel, that there be no plague among the children of Israel when the children of Israel come near unto the sanctuary.
So even when you get to a place where, we come into the word, and sometimes people have a different agenda. When you understand what these Levites' job was, their agenda was concerning the house. When you look at what other people end up dealing with, they have other agendas. They don't have any agenda about Yahweh's house. Eventually they float off and go to do something else, because that's not their thing. When you get these group of people together, they have one focus. There's nothing else that you're going to bring to them that's going to override this. You can tell them about this great thing that Israel is planning. They'll be like, man, that is awesome. All right, man, I'm going back to the house to go take care of this business. Go ahead.
And Moshe and Aaron and all the congregation of the children of Israel did to the Levites according unto all that Yahweh commanded Moshe concerning the Levites. So did the children of Israel unto them. And the Levites were purified, and they washed their clothes. And Aaron offered them as an offering before Yahweh. And Aaron made an atonement for them to cleanse them. And after that went the Levites in to do their service in the tabernacle of the congregation before Aaron and before his sons, as Yahweh had commanded Moshe concerning the Levites. So did they unto them.
All right, so then this process has been set forth. Yahweh has taken the Levites instead of the firstborn, and then have them sanctified for this service. Let's go to chapter 18. See, when we deal with first fruits, it encompasses way more than the things that we just plant in the ground. Numbers 18, and let's start that at verse 1.
And Yahweh said unto Aaron, you and your sons in your father's house with you shall bear the lawlessness of the sanctuary.
You see why they about that business where other Israelites can come and talk to them, and it doesn't mean that the other Israelites are wrong. Just you not gonna convince them to do stuff that's outside of taking care of the sanctuary. You can come with all kind of stuff, man. We're gonna build such and such. We have a massive thing going on. Man, that is amazing. I hope it work out. But they are about this business. Go ahead.
And you and your sons with you shall bear the lawlessness of your priesthood. And your brethren also of the tribe of Levi, the tribe of your father, bring you with you, that they may be joined unto you and minister unto you. But you and your sons with you shall minister before the tabernacle of witness. And they shall keep your charge and the charge of all the tabernacle. Only they shall not come near the vessels of the sanctuary and the altar, that neither they nor you also die. And they shall be joined unto you, and keep the charge of the tabernacle of the congregation, for all the service of the tabernacle, and a stranger shall not come near unto you. And you shall keep the charge of the sanctuary, and the charge of the altar, and that there be no wrath any more upon the children of Israel. And I, behold, I have taken your brethren the Levites from among the children of Israel. To you they are given as a gift for Yahweh, to do the service of the tabernacle of the congregation. Therefore you and your sons with you shall keep your priest office for everything of the altar, and within the veil, and you shall serve. And I have given your priest office unto you as a service of gift, and the stranger that comes near shall be put to death.
So you have to understand the one thing that is constant when it comes down to offering the offerings of Yahweh and to execute the office of priesthood. Oh, that Yahweh has always been very strict about. See, what people will do is get these things mixed up. Can other ethnicities come and serve Yahweh? Yes. But leading Yahweh's people is something altogether different. So when you go down, that's why even when you get into this New Testament, you find that it was Saul, an Israelite, who gave them the authority to teach. An Israelite had to preside over that. That's why he's going to this place, to that place, to this place, to that place. Because in some of those places, hey, they have some children of Israel in the same place where some of those Gentiles were. And then when some of our folks come and say, whoa, what's happening up in here? Oh, they didn't play like that. Go ahead.
And Yahweh spake unto Aaron, Behold, I also have given you the charge of mine heave offerings of all the hallowed things of the children of Israel. Unto you have I given them by reason of the anointing, and to your sons by an ordinance forever. This shall be yours of the most holy things reserved from the fire, every oblation of theirs, every meat offering of theirs, and every sin offering of theirs, and every trespass offering of theirs, which they shall render unto me, shall be most holy for you and for your sons. In the most holy place shall you eat it. Every male shall eat it. It shall be holy unto you. And this is yours, the heave offering of their gift. With all the wave offerings of the children of Israel, I have given them unto you, and to your sons and to your daughters with you by a statute forever. Everyone that is clean in your house shall eat of it.
Now, it was these very things that I was, studying. You have to be on Yahweh's timing with some things. As I'm reading, all of these things, and I'm praying at a point, and I'm saying, Yahweh, I only want to be your servant. It was all of these things that took care of the priest. And I go to praying and doing all of these things, and then Yahweh started having, these people call me talking about, we got a job for you. I don't know why y'all calling me, because I didn't ask for no job. I ain't had a job in 13 years. I was a contractor at that point. But what I wanted wasn't on Yahweh's time. And that's that thing that we have to understand, that you can't kickstart what you think you want. He gives me a job, I want no job. Then I get hit with COVID, and it cost me $1 million to come home. Y'all were like, I already got that bill taken care of. What you talking about? $1 million. If I was still a contractor, somebody else would be sitting in this seat. Y'all knew what he was doing? I prayed for one thing. He was like, yeah, here you go. No, I don't think. Maybe you didn't hear me, Yahweh. Maybe I was facing the west when I prayed, and maybe my prayer came backwards to you, and you thought I asked for a job. Shut up, boy. I know what I'm doing. Go ahead.
All the best of the oil, and all the best of the wine, and of the wheat, the first fruits of them which they shall offer unto Yahweh, them have I given you. And whatsoever is first ripe in the land, which they shall bring unto Yahweh, shall be yours. Every one that is clean in your house shall eat of it. Everything devoted in Israel shall be yours. Everything that opens the matrix in all flesh, which they bring unto Yahweh, whether it be of men or beasts, shall be yours. Nevertheless, the firstborn of man shall you surely redeem, and the firstling of unclean beasts shall you redeem.
When you look at this, verse 15, everything that opens the matrix and all flesh which they bring unto Yahweh, whether it be of men or beasts, shall be yours. When you look at Hannah, she brought that boy. Here. I have been praying for a man child, and Yahweh gave me a man child, and I have weaned him here. Now see, that's a different kind of love than what we know. She loved it so much she gave it up. We love something so much we lock it in a cage. Duct tape the windows so it can't look out. And we say, I love it. She loved it so much that she gave it to the priest and ended up having other children after that. what we do when we don't have but one, what happened? We dig a hole and bury it in the earth. Said one person was given 1 talent, one was given 2, one was given 5. The ones with 2 and 5 multiplied. The one who was given 1 dug a hole. See, the way we dig that hole, we ain't gonna do nothing else. Everything that we do is gonna be focused on that thing. But we too scared to risk it to get more. So we keep putting it right back in that hole. Go ahead.
You know, you mentioned Hannah. When you look at this, you know, you get caught off in the fact that Yahweh says the Levites are mine. But then you can get into yourself and say, well, I'm first, but it don't mean nothing. No, you now are a service or a servant onto the tabernacle.
Uh-huh.
You are now supposed to help the Levites. You can't help in the sanctuary, but you can do other stuff outside. So the firstlings still got to go and have a position of substance. You can't just say, well, I'm not a Levite. Okay, well, you need to get with the Levites and figure out if they would need you to bring some water to the church or something.
Exactly. Go ahead.
And those that are to be redeemed from a month old shall you redeem, according to your estimation, for the money of 5 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary, which is 20 gerahs. But the firstling of a cow, or the firstling of a sheep, or the firstling of a goat, you shall not redeem. They are holy. You shall sprinkle their blood upon the altar, and shall burn their fat for an offering made by fire, for a sweet savor to Yahweh, unto Yahweh. And the flesh of them shall be yours, as the waved breast and as the right shoulder are yours. All the heave offerings of the holy things, which the children of Israel offer unto Yahweh, have I given you, and your sons and your daughters with you, by a statute forever. It is a covenant of salt forever before Yahweh unto you and to your seed with you. And Yahweh spake unto Aaron, you shall have no inheritance in their land, neither shall you have any part among them. I am your part and your inheritance among the children of Israel.
Right. The children of Israel have all these different parts of land, and they reside there. No, not the priests. They had to go about to these other places. They didn't have one set land that they were able to stay in and hand down to their children. Yahweh said, no. You're going to be different than everybody else. They have this set up. You're not going to have that. That's why I've given you these offerings and these things. That's going to provide for you. But you're not going to have no land to keep handing down. You're going to have a little something. Because, I mean, you got to have a house to live in. But understand, that whole part of that land, because understand, when we got a huge plot of land, that's what we want to be. So Yahweh took care of that. You going to go where I need you to go. It's hard to get somebody to leave their house. When they say, man, I got 300 acres over here. Mm-hmm. You want me to go where, Yahweh? You ain't going to stay in a little apartment. Here's 300 acres. Go ahead.
And behold, I have given the children of Levi.
Hold on. Okay. Go ahead, bro.
And behold, I have given the children of Levi all the 10th in Israel for an inheritance, for their service, which they serve, even the service of the tabernacle of the congregation. Neither must the children of Israel henceforth come near the tabernacle of the congregation, lest they bear sin and die. But the Levites shall do the service of the tabernacle of the congregation, and they shall bear their lawlessness. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations, that among the children of Israel they have no inheritance.
Right. They need to be there to take care of this business, because the sinful nature of Israel is then laid upon them, and they need to take care of that business. They can't go off here, there, and yonder and do everything that would be okay for other Israelites. Go ahead.
But the tithes of the children of Israel, which they offer as an heave offering unto Yahweh, I have given to the Levites to inherit. Therefore, I have said unto them, among the children of Israel they shall have no inheritance. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Thus speak unto the Levites, and say unto them, When you take of the children of Israel the tithes which I have given you from them for your inheritance, then you shall offer up an heave offering of it for Yahweh, even a tenth part of the tithes. And this your heave offering shall be reckoned unto you, as though it were the corn of the threshing floor, and as the fullness of the winepress. Thus you also shall offer an heave offering unto Yahweh of all your tithes, which you receive of the children of Israel, and you shall give thereof Yahweh's heave offering to Aaron the priest. Out of all your gifts you shall offer every heave offering of Yahweh, of all the best thereof, even the hallowed part thereof out of it. Therefore you shall say unto them, when you have heaved the best thereof from it, then it shall be counted unto the Levites as the increase of the threshing floor, and as the increase of the winepress. And you shall eat it in every place, you and your households, for it is your reward for your service in the tabernacle of the congregation. And you shall bear no sin by reason of it, when you have heaved from it the best of it. Neither shall you pollute the holy things of the children of Israel, lest you die.
All right, so Yahweh is making sure that the Levites even understand the purity of the things that they are going to receive, that they have to also deal with it a certain way. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 23. Leviticus chapter 23, and we're going to read verses 9 through 14.
Verse 9. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When you be come into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then you shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest. And he shall wave the sheaf before Yahweh, to be accepted for you. On the morrow after the Shabbat, the priest shall wave it. And you shall offer that day, when you wave the sheaf, an he lamb without blemish of the first year, for a burnt offering unto Yahweh.
So then we have to then look at this, all right? So verse 10, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When you be come into the land which I give you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then you shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest. You shall wave the sheaf before Yahweh to be accepted for you. On the morrow after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it. So then we have the Sabbath, which is the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread is a Sabbath. You have Passover, first day of Feast of Unleavened Bread is a Sabbath. All right. Then the morrow after the Sabbath. So we didn't have the third day. All right. Now read 12 again.
And you shall offer that day, when you wave the sheep, and he lamb without blemish.
You shall then offer a he lamb once you do this. So even when we look at the setup of things, we then find the third day, we find a lamb, but when we deal with this first fruits, our lamb now is being raised up. Go ahead.
Without blemish of the first year, for a burnt offering unto Yahweh. And the meat offering thereof shall be 2/10 deals of fine flour mingled with oil, an offering made by fire unto Yahweh for a sweet savor. And the drink offering thereof shall be of wine, the fourth part of an hin. And you shall eat neither bread, nor parched corn, nor green ears, until the same day that you have brought an offering unto your Elohim. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations, in all your dwellings.
And this is one of the prime reasons we want to make sure, as it is written, it says, 3 times in a year shall all your males come and make an appearance before me, and none shall appear before me empty. All right? I tell people, I don't care if you got to bring $1, a quarter. No man shall come before me empty. Understand what happens if we come before him empty. Verse 14, you shall eat neither bread. No. Hold on now. We in the feast of unleavened bread. Verse 14, and you shall eat neither bread. Hold on. How do I even keep the rest of the feast of unleavened bread if I can't eat bread? Then he says, nor parched corn, nor green ears. Do you understand everything that's made with corn? none of this stuff you can eat if you don't get to that point where we are offering, making our appearance and giving an offering on that Feast of First Fruits. Yahweh is showing you how important the Messiah is before he even get here. See, our people already had an affinity about first fruits before we knew anything about, oh, this Christ. Yahshua is the first fruit. Go ahead.
That was it.
That was it. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 2. See, a lot of these things our people think just popped up in the New Testament. But when you examine the foundation, you find out, wait a minute, Yahweh always had this here. This didn't just show up. You know, for Dawid to be able to say, Yahweh, what do you mean? You've spoken of your servant's house for a great while to come. And is this the manner of man of whom you going to build a house through me? What was Dawid talking about? Yeah, when you talk about, go to some of these one-bookers, they say they don't believe in no Messiah. Well, for all practical purposes, Dawid was a one-booker. It wasn't but one book. And he believed in the Messiah. So we got a problem here. Jeremiah chapter 2, and I want to read verses 1 through 3.
Moreover, the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Go and cry in the ears of Jerusalem, saying, Thus says Yahweh, I remember you, the kindness of your youth, the love of your espousals, when you went after me in the wilderness, in a land that was not sown. Israel was holiness unto Yahweh, and the first fruits of his increase. All that devour him shall offend. Evil shall come upon them, says Yahweh.
All right, sorry about that. Okay. Verse 3, I want you to read that again.
Israel was holiness unto Yahweh, and the first fruits of his increase.
Okay, so Israel was holiness unto Yahweh and the first fruits of his increase. So then now we have to consider. We have Yahshua, who is the first fruit of those raised unto men. But then you have, look at the role that Israel plays in the earth. Israel is the first fruits of Yahweh's increase. So this is something that we then have to consider, that there's a part that we have to play in this. Now let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 15. See, in a lot of things, you know, we want to be great, but we have to understand with great power also comes great responsibility. You can't have one without the other.
First Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 1. Moreover, brethren, I declare unto you the gospel which I preached unto you, which also you have received, and wherein you stand, by which also you are saved, if you keep in memory what I preached unto you, unless you have believed in vain. For I delivered unto you first of all that which I also received, how that the Mashiach died for our sins according to the Scriptures, and that he was buried, and that he rose again the third day according to the Scriptures.
Right. Passover, unleavened bread, first fruit. This is the resurrection. What other people are dealing with, what they have set up, they even have an equation so that it will always be in the same time around Passover. So that's how they set their Easter. They make sure that it is in that season, and it is the only holiday that they do that way. There's no other heathen holiday that's counted that way. And we never asked any questions. Why isn't just on the calendar just like every other day? December 25th never changed. So even as as heathens, we should have been saying, so his birth is the same, but his resurrection day is different. Even as Christians, we should have asked that question. How does one thing stay constant, but the other one changes every year? Matter of fact, I can't tell you when Easter is until they print the calendar. But I can tell you what day Christmas is on. I can tell you what day Christmas is going to be on in 20 years from now. Matter of fact, I'm bad. I'm close my eyes. Watch this. December 25th. Look at that. Oh, my God. Am I a genius? Now, how is it that I can do that? But I can't tell you, you want to start something. Go to a Sunday worship fund and tell me, what date is Easter next year? What's the problem? Why you know that? And they're going to look at you like, I'm not supposed to know that. Why are you not supposed to know that? We didn't even ask those basic questions, and some of these things never made sense. The eggs, the bunny, none of that makes sense. Bunnies don't lay eggs. You know how flabbergasted I was to figure out that bunnies don't lay eggs? They give us something that is absolutely, the biggest lies are the ones that you will hold dearest to your heart. Bunny eggs. When the last time you was in the store and ran across some bunny eggs? You ain't never had to fuss at your family? No, baby, this ain't the, you got the bunny eggs, I wanted the chicken egg. You ain't never had that conversation, have you? Then they give us chocolate and eggs and the bunny. All of this has to do with fertility. And first of all, do you even know the twisted part? Well, all of it's twisted. But what role does the chocolate play? Oh, he know that part. He's like, yeah, it's aphrodisiac. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, that's right. Got some at the house right now. But you got to consider that. Okay, what? When you deal with the eggs, all our Easter soups was white. They dressed us up to be sperm and egg. The sperm go fertilize the egg. And we went and got those soups because all the Easter soups were white. They then used all of these things, and we are taking part in heathenistic rituals and believe that we're doing something holy for the Mashiach. But those people knew what we were doing. Now, we didn't know as followers, but the leadership did. And they made one special egg. And whoever found that special egg, that was symbolically the one who fertilized the egg. That has absolutely nothing to do with the things that we're reading. But people will turn around and accuse us of being in a cult. Yet, you worship a bunny that lays eggs. You worship a bunny, but I'm the one in the cult. But you deal with a bunny that lays eggs? Go ahead, brother. You got that question in your eyes.
I was saying we're also 9 months from Christmas, so it's a fertility ritual 9 months apart. So it doesn't seem like
Hey, brother. You see, if you try to make sense of it, that's where your head gonna pop right there. when you start trying to make sense of it, your head start hurting more and more. You better get you a big old bottle of Tylenol when you start, because you find out, man, well, they didn't even really think this thing through. But you don't have to think if you're going to have people once they get an emotional attachment to something, we don't really care the thought process of it. See, we can know when you talk about emotional attachment, if somebody has somebody that they love in that burning building, common sense tell them that building on fire and floors have already started to fall. The fire department won't go back in there. Let a man have somebody that he love in there. Logic means nothing. He running in. They got to hold him to keep him from running in. That's what the adversary knows. If he gets us emotionally attached to a lie, 50 people can come and tell you the truth. Get on out of here with your truth. Nobody want to hear that. Right? Because they are emotionally attached to the lie. They will fight every truth bearer that comes near their house. Go ahead.
1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 5. And then he was seen of Cephas, then of the 12. And after that, he was seen of about 500 brethren at once, of whom the greater part remain unto this present, but some are fallen asleep. After that, he was seen of Jacob, then of all the apostles. And last of all, he was seen of me also, as of one born out of due time. For I am the least of the apostles, that I am not meet to be called an apostle, because I persecuted the church of Elohim.
Right. He know what he did. See, and you know what happened when you know what you did? Your work different. See, what most people problem is they don't remember what they did. That's why they be like, I can do my works anywhere. I mean, I ain't got to come to church to do my works. I ain't got to really do, no documentaries. I ain't really got to do, I can do my works, at Glenwood, car wash. Breathe.
But by the grace of Elohim, I am what I am. And his grace which was bestowed upon me was not in vain, but I labored more abundantly than they all.
You see what happened when you know what you did? No. I worked more than all of them. What the little army slogan say? We do more before 6 a.m. than most people do all day. Some of these folk, by the time you see them, you think that they just got here. When you see them, they done been up here 3 times. You done seen them the 3rd time they been up here. Some people know what they past like. Others, we got a shellacked version of our past. See, that shellacked version say, I ain't really got to really put in no work like that. I already knew, Yahshua, not per se. But I knew of, I knew some things, and come on, I'm all right. See, the folk who remember. Saul remember. Oh, no. No, I persecuted the church. I know what I did. But I tell you what else I did. I labor more than all the rest of them. Go ahead.
Yet not I, but the grace of Elohim which was with me. Therefore, whether it were I or they, so we preach, and so you believe. Now if the Mashiach be preached that he rose from the dead, how say some among you that there is no resurrection of the dead? But if there be no resurrection of the dead, then the Mashiach is not risen. And if the Mashiach be not risen, then is our preaching vain, and your faith also vain. Yea, and we are found false witnesses of Elohim, because we have testified of Elohim that he raised up Yahshua, whom he raised not up, if so be that the dead rise not. For if the dead rise not, then is not Yahshua raised. And if Yahshua be not raised, your faith is vain. You are yet in your sins.
Right. Now, the issue is, if you are just reading the New Testament, then this seems like a new concept to you. If you have the foundation of the old, then you understand this entire setup from coming out of Egypt, from all of these things. You understand the sanctification in 3. Go ahead.
Then they also which are fallen asleep in Yahshua are perished. If in this life only we have hope in Yahshua, we are of all men most miserable. But now Yahshua's risen from the dead and become the first fruits of them that sleep.
Right. He became the first fruits of them that slept. He was already destined to be that. The rising of Yahshua is ordained in the law. So for people who believe, they say, well, you know, I deal with the New Testament. I don't deal with law. You deal with the resurrection? You're dealing with law. The resurrection is in the law. Everything he did was according to law. Even being raised up. Go ahead.
For since by man came death, by man came also the resurrection of the dead. For as in Adam all die, even so in Yahshua shall all be made alive. But every man in his own order. Yahshua, the first fruits, afterward they that are Yahshua's at his coming. Then cometh the end, when he shall have delivered up the kingdom to Elohim, even the Father, when he shall have put down all rule and all authority and power. For he must reign till he has put all enemies under his feet. The last enemy that shall be destroyed is death, for he has put all things under his feet. But when he saith all things are put under him, it is manifest that he is expected which did put all things under him. And when all things shall be subdued unto him, then shall the Son also himself be subject unto him that put all things under him, that Elohim may be all in all. Else, what shall they do which are baptized for the dead, if the dead rise not at all? Why are they then baptized for the dead? And why stand we in jeopardy every hour? I protest by your rejoicing, which I have in Yahshua HaMashiach our Adonai, I die daily. If after the manner of men I have fought with beasts at Ephesus, what advantage it me, if the dead rise not? Let us eat and drink, for tomorrow we die. Be not deceived. Evil communication corrupts good manners.
And do we consider that? Evil communications corrupt good manners. It's going to affect how you operate. Go ahead.
Awake to righteousness and sin not, for some have not the knowledge of Elohim. I speak this to your shame. But some man will say, how are the dead raised up, and with what body do they come? You fool, that which you soweth is not quickened except it die. And that which you soweth not that body that shall be, but bear grain. It may chance of wheat, or of some other grain. But Elohim gives it a body as it has pleased him, and to every seed his own body. All flesh is not the same flesh, but there is one kind of flesh of men, another flesh of beasts, another of fishes, and another of birds. There are also celestial bodies and bodies terrestrial.
Right, one earthly, one heavenly. Go ahead.
But the glory of the celestial is one, and the glory of the terrestrial is another. There is one glory of the sun, and another glory of the moon, and another glory of the stars. For one star differs from another star in glory.
Right, but when he gets to men, this is what causes envy and jealousy. Because one don't have the glory that the other one has. So you don't find the stars fighting against the moon. Why you shine brighter than me? Go ahead.
So also is the resurrection of the dead. It is sown in corruption, it is raised in incorruption. It is sown in dishonor, it is raised in glory. It is sown in weakness, it is raised in power. It is sown a natural body, it is raised a spiritual body. There is a natural body and there is a spiritual body. And so it is written, the first man Adam was made a living soul. The last Adam was made a quickening spirit. Howbeit, that was not first which is spiritual, but that which is natural, and afterward that which is spiritual. The first man is of the earth, earthy. The second man is the Adonai from heaven. As is the earthy, such are they also that are earthy. And as is the heavenly, such are they also that are heavenly.
So what we want to do, what the brother says, I die daily. So we want that old man to die daily and us to constantly be formed into a new creature. But what we do is fight against the forming of the new creature. Because we remember all the things about the old. And we are creatures of habit. So we get accustomed to the old us. Go ahead.
And as we have borne the image of the earthy, we shall also bear the image of the heavenly.
Uh-huh.
Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of Elohim, neither does corruption inherit incorruption.
Right. Flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of Elohim. That's why he said, unless you be born again, you shall not enter into the kingdom of Elohim. Go ahead.
Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed.
Right. If the dead are going to be raised incorruptible, how is that possible if they all in heaven? Raised mean get up. If they in heaven, they would be coming down. See, the New Testament don't even agree with the doctrine that you hear on Sunday morning. It does not agree with it. But when you are emotionally attached, it does not matter how much sense something else makes. Go ahead.
For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality.
All right, let's go to Revelation chapter 14. Revelation chapter 14, and we're going to read verses 1 through 5.
And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000 having his Father's name written in their foreheads. And I heard a voice from heaven, as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps. And they sung as it were a new song before the throne, and before the four beasts and the elders. And no man could learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth.
They were redeemed from the earth. Go ahead.
These are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins.
Right. When you are born again, what are you? Spiritual virgin. Now that's your spiritual birth. What you think that's going to be like coming up out of the ground? They have a new body. New body doesn't desire any of that other stuff. What it says, when they are in the resurrection, they are like the angels. They neither marry nor are given in marriage. See, we can't imagine anything like that because we are covered in flesh. We can't imagine what would life be like without Honey Boo Boo. Without the desire for Honey Boo Boo. And Honey Boo Boo ain't desiring you either. Gonna be a lot of work getting done, ain't it? Gonna be a whole lot of work getting done, ain't it? Go ahead.
These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goes.
Uh-huh.
These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto Elohim and to the Lamb.
Being the first fruits unto Elohim. So we have several levels of this first fruit. Israel is first fruits. You have Yahshua, who's first fruits. And 144,000 are first fruits. The resurrection of the Mashiach is all about first fruits. And go and talk to your average person been going to church 30, 40 years. They're going to tell you out your mind, you keeping first fruit. You can get fruit down there at Walmart. How you know if it's first or not? I mean, you can be the first one to get it if you stand there. When the stock guy come in. They have have no idea. But let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 16. Deuteronomy chapter 16, and we're going to read verses 16 and 17.
3 times in a year shall all your males appear before Yahweh your Elohim in the place which he shall choose. In the feast of unleavened bread, and in the feast of weeks, and in the feast of tabernacles, and they shall not appear before Yahweh empty. Every man shall give as he is able.
Every man shall give as he is able. I understand, especially since, we have been having our building fund, and a lot of you have done that, and I praise Yahweh. Do understand, as it is written, every man shall give as he is able, according to the blessing of Yahweh, your Elohim, which he has given you. So there's not one single thing that's not going to be counted for Yahweh. And if some have already done those other things, just make sure if you don't have, when it comes time for your appearance, you put $1 in. You might be done already put stuff in other things. You just cannot come empty before Yahweh. All right? We know, every man knows what Yahweh has given unto him. Can't nobody tell you what you're supposed to give. Understand? All right. Do we have everything set up?
Michelle,
How much time do we need?
I think everything's set, right?
All right. So then it is 10:21. So then we will, for all those that are on the internet, we are going to gather together and make our appearance at 10:30. That means you got 9 minutes. All right. So 10:30, we will be all doing this, so that way we are doing it all together, no matter where we are. All right. That's all we're going to do.